Well, good day. Hi, I'm Doc Martin, and we're here at Avalon Gardens. The cooler in there is making too much noise, so I thought I'd sit out here in the garden. And what an appropriate book. We're doing book reviews today, and one of them out of 4 is called How Can I Help? Saving Nature with Your Yard. It's by Douglas Tallamy. 499 questions and answers to help you take the next step. What a wonderful book. It's just a book about questions and answers, but it's very informative, and there's so many answers in here. And it's about, really about going back to native species and all. So I'm here in Avalon Gardens. It's in the Cholla Forest, and it's here in Arizona. This is Dr. Tallamy. Douglas W. Tallamy is a professor in the Department of Entomology and Wildlife Ecology at the University of Delaware, where he has authored 107 research publications and has taught insect-related courses for 44 years. Chief among his research goals is to better understand the many ways insects interact with plants and how such interaction determine the diversity of animal communities. Among his rewards are the Garden Club of America Margaret Douglas Medal for Conservation and Tom Dodd Jr. Award of Excellence, the 2018 AHS B.Y. Morrison Communication Award, and the 2019 Cynthia Westcott Scientific Writing Award. Doug is the author of Bringing Nature Home, Nature's Best Hope, The Nature of Oaks, and co-founder with Michelle Alfandori of Homegrown National Park. Learn more at hnpark.org. What a great book. It is from Timber Press, Portland, Oregon. Oh, wonderful. He's got a few photographs in this book. With the publication of Bringing Nature Home, Doug Tallamy reveals the critical role native plants play in attracting beneficial insects, and ushered in what is considered one of the most consequential movements in gardening. With Nature's Best Hope, Tallamy expanded his audience from gardeners to homeowners with a passionate advocacy that detailed how everyone with a yard can make a positive environmental impact. In How Can I Help?, Tallamy tackles questions commonly asked at his popular lectures and shares compelling and actionable answers that will help gardeners and homeowners take the next step in their ecological journey. Topics range from ecology, evolution, biodiversity, and conservation to restoration, native plants, invasive species, pest control, and supporting wildlife at home. Tallamy keenly understands that most people want to take part in conservation efforts, yet often feel powerless to do so as individuals. But one person can make a difference, and How Can I Help details exactly how. Whether by reducing your lawn, planting a handful of native species, or allowing leaves to sit untouched, you will be inspired and empowered to join millions of others of like-minded people in becoming the future of backyard conservation. That is so true. And here at Avalon, I got studying some of his practices, and believe it or not, we're doing a lot of it. I don't do any mowing here. I keep the yard picked up, but other than that, I've kind of just let things be. And you know, that's what he was saying here too, is if it's not hurting a lot of things, just leave a lot of stuff alone. Don't be clipping and don't be using poisons. He does advocate sometimes of using herbicides and this and that, but we don't use them here. But he's really into leaving now, he said there's a thing like pruning trees, live pruning, where you got to cut some limbs off, but mostly the dead stuff, leave it alone. Woodpeckers go in there and carve out the dead wood, and a lot of trees, they need the bugs. And I found out that those little brown, they're called June beetles. They look like June bugs, the scarab green things, but the June beetles actually go in the ground and eat the roots of grass. And so when you dig up the grass, you find grubs in there. That's because they eat roots. So it's all interrelated. He's really big into oaks. He's really into oaks. He's got let me see how the chapters are laid out here. So well, chapter 1 is ecology and evolution. The second one is biodiversity. Now these are all questions. Native and non-native plants. 4, oaks, invasive species, pest control, conservation and restoration, home landscapes, supporting wildlife at home, and concluding questions. So he's just he just goes into a lot of questions, and he's got 44 years in the business, so he has his opinions, and he has a lot of things that work all across the world, not just in where he's from, because we're here in the Southwest. And he really talks about it from the homeowner's look. He shows pictures of, like, the warbler here eating poison ivy berries. He said, you know, some of these non-natives, they only have 1% fat, maybe 2 or 3% sugar, but things like this poison ivy have 50% fat. So he said most of the time people that get into a poison ivy get in it because they're trying to eradicate it and rip it out and stuff. But he said if you just leave stuff alone, it's really best. So we're going back to this. He's big into moths. He said everybody loves butterflies, but butterflies are pollinators to a point. But the real workhorse and the thing that they came from is moths. And there's more moths than there are butterflies. And there's, well, they call them the spongy moth, but they were called the gypsy moth. Even hawks eat them. They're large trees. The female, when it's born, just pops right out of the egg and stays there. I guess they say it can't fly, but the male can. She puts out sex pheromones, and they can mate. And then when the eggs are laid, as soon as the little larvae come out, they shoot out a wad or a string of silk, and it pulls them out into the air, and that's how they transport. So there's fascinating stories about stuff. And he said sometimes if you get a problem and you want to use a poison or something, he said all you do is exacerbate the problem, and it just doesn't get better. So the best thing to do is just leave it alone. Deer control, we don't have any problem with that, but back east, you know, he said it's a real problem that people have decided to let it go. But so he does have some controls, like adding these wire cages staked down to hold them out, and then when they grow up, you just undo the cage around the plant, and that saves them from eating it. A lot of times they eat the leaves, and it's okay that they eat some leaves, but most plants, like I have here with these here, if you're not watched and kept off the ground, and I use a cheesecloth like thing to keep them out, they'll eat it all. Some things like ants, they'll strip plants with leaves, but they will let it live and it'll come back. But some animals clip it off at the ground, eat every bit of it, and there's just no hope. So you have to protect your plants, I believe. So I go along with that. So There's people that says they've stopped mowing and putting in regular plants. But he said if you live in the city and you got to mow, he said what you can do is grow the native plants behind it, but leave a manicured out where the curb is, you know, where the people are going to walk by. You have a little strip there that you actually mow, so that you show people, yes, I'm into the mowing, but we don't have a whole lawn of just mowed grass and no plants at all. So you can actually play the game of, you know, the neighborhood appearances and all that. So what a wonderful book. I recommend it just because you'll learn so much more. Every time I read a book, I learn something. And I think I know a lot, but I know nothing about gardening. And always consult with the experts. That's who I have with Dr. Douglas W. Tallamy. How can I help? Well, we hope we're doing the right job. You can too. Get this book like we did at the library of your choice. It's brand new. It just came out this year. Thanks for watching KRAZ TV, and go to our channel at kraztv.com and it'll take you to YouTube. Goodbye and keep growing.